What's up, one and done crew? This is your boy at MC Holland 34, Mr. Mike Holland himself. Some call me the original Money Mike. I am by myself. We're going to do a live before lock show for this 8-game DraftKings slate that's tips off in about 55 minutes. We're on a little bit of a time crunch, but we wanted to get in here and see if we can get you guys some plays and get that bread truck pulled up to your house later tonight. So we're at 1,254 subs right now, so please do your part and hit the like and subscribe buttons. Like I said, it is an 8-game slate. We're going to hop right on through these because we got to be out of here by right around at the half hour here, so 5:30 Central Time. So please do your part, hit all those buttons for us, and let's get started on this 8-game slate here. We have an interesting slate because it's a lot of blowouts. Kind of reminds me of like the first week of the season where we have a bunch of high major teams playing low major teams, and we have big spreads. So going to be playing a lot of players from the high major side. Obviously, they're going to have an easier time scoring the basketball. We got a couple of players from some of the lower mids that we'll talk about as well. So without further ado, we will jump into the first game, which is Bryant plus 20 at St. John's, 156 point implied total on KenPom. Bryant is 7th in tempo in the country, so we're going to love that for the St. John's side. Bryant has played the 290th ranked non-conference schedule, so I haven't played very many good teams on their slates here. This is their first Power 5 team that they'll be playing. So Bryant implied for 68 points. First guy I want to start off with. We got to figure out what's going to happen here with Earl Timberlake over here at 8,200. He kind of does everything for this squad. If he's in, he's kind of an interesting play. If he's out, kind of makes some of the guys at the bottom a little more viable. So if you want to get to Timberlake, he's kind of one of those guys that does everything. Came over from Miami a few years ago. We played him on slates before, but 8,200, I don't know that I want to get to him. Rafael Pinzon's probably the most intriguing play just from a GPP perspective. He's 6,500 at guard. He actually transferred from St. John's a few years ago, so you've got the revenge narrative if you're into those types of things. Just takes a ton of shots, ton of threes. He needs to make those. We were laughing the other day when he was on the Drexel slate. What was that on? Like about a week ago, and he shot 11 for 17, 4 for 6 from 3. So he made every shot. Didn't play him then. I don't think I'm going to play him now. I think I'm a little more interested in Timberlake's out and playing some of these guys down here at the bottom. Ja'Kai Robinson, he's 3,500. Him and Kevon Kramer at 4,700 are pretty interesting. So Ja'Kai Robinson is a Miami transfer as well. When he sees 20 minutes, he can do some things at 3,500. We don't have like a ton of value on this slate that we're really excited about. So this is going to be a tougher slate to kind of get your stars and scrubs going. So Ja'Kai Robinson on this side, but much more interested on the St. John's side with 88 points implied. RJ Lewis, I'm probably not going to get to 9,400 RJ Lewis. I'm more interested in Zuby Ejiofor and Kadari Richmond. Ejiofor here at 8,600, finally priced correctly. He was sitting there, 4K, 5K, 6,600 last slate. So, this is a smash spot for him. I put up a massive double-double. I don't think he's going to drop 25 to 30 real life points. If he does, my night is probably over because I won't have as much of him as I will Kadari Richmond at 7,700. And in a pace-up spot, love Kadari Richmond and his upside. Been playing pretty well recently. But Davon Smith kind of taking a back seat here. I do love his stock upside and his ability to get up to that 30 fantasy point mark. Probably pretty easily in this matchup here, barring the blowout. So we'll have to be careful with some of these games because there is big time blowout potential here. But that's about it on this St. John's side. I'm really looking at the spend up options. I'm probably not playing more than one of them, although it is a contrarian tournament build if you do play two of them. Just good luck finding enough value to get to two expensive St. John's guys. So got a couple of comments want to get to here. Cam jumping in here. What's up, Cam? Dallin Hall or Trevin Neal? We just got the news that Igor Dimin is not going to play tonight, so we'll talk about them a little bit later. I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm interested in either one because BYU still spreads out their minutes. And then, our guy Forklift Jeremy joining the live before lock, going through the same dilemma. Yeah, same dilemma. I'll let you guys probably battle that out. I don't know how much BYU I'm going to get to just because we've been burned so many times with the 39 guys that they throw out there. So we'll talk about that here in just a second. Appreciate you guys joining us. Hit those like and subscribe buttons for everyone that hasn't. Appreciate you joining us here. Let's jump to the second game. UTEP plus 13 at Louisville, 143 implied total. UTEP plays fast as well, 101st in tempo, and they are getting absolutely obliterated from three, 39% opponent three-point percentage. With the UTEP side, I'm probably crossing them off. I mean, you can look at Camper if you're doing like a run back, a 2-1 run back, 3-1 run back, he's 8K, but not really interested in the UTEP side, applied for 65 points. Much more interested in the Louisville side, 78 points. Louisville loves to shoot the three and is due for a better performance than they had against Duke the other day. So, Chucky Hepburn over here at 8,700, he really gets there with stocks and a great shooting performance. So I'm not too interested in that because I do like the other studs on this slate. More interested on these guys that are 6K and below because I think a few of them could go 4 to 5X here. Terrence Edwards, guard forward eligible, 6K. Definitely loves that. He's obviously playing mid 20s to 30 minutes, can fill up a stat sheet, takes a lot of shots. He's been double-digit field goal attempts in the last 3 games. So definitely Cam saying Edwards is due. Absolutely. So don't mind that. And you love his position flexibility there, the guard forward eligibility. Javon Hadley, he's 5,900. Doesn't shoot the ball a ton, but he can rack up rebounds, stocks for you. If he does happen to have a good shooting performance, he can easily pay off 5,900. I think two guys that I'm most intrigued with outside of Edwards, though, are Rain Smith and Connie Ruth. So Rain Smith into the starting lineup. Obviously, injuries have had a lot to do with that. This Louisville team really running 7 guys out here. Rain starting at 5,200 is going to take a bunch of threes, so you love that UTEP just getting crushed from three-point land. But he's really going to have to make his threes. He's more shot dependent. I think one of the best value plays is Connie Ruth's, the forward, 4,000 even there. If he gives you a 16, you absolutely love that. Played very well against Duke. So you absolutely love to see that. Should push for, in a blowout, maybe 22 to 25 minutes, depending on how the game goes. But he's got a role for 15 plus minutes regardless. So you absolutely like to have that. And you love that he got to the line in that Duke game. So top 50 type high school player that's really showing out lately. So Connie Ruth's there at 4,000, going to be one of the staples. I wouldn't say a core piece. There's a couple other guys that I do like, but he's gonna be a lot of my value piece lineups here. So with stars and scrubs. Let's move on to the next game here. Dartmouth plus 18 at Notre Dame, 140 implied total on KenPom. Dartmouth, another fast team that's going to pace up Notre Dame. They're 71st in tempo. They're 240th in defensive efficiency. They really cannot guard the paint. When you look at the Dartmouth side, just too expensive, kind of like what we said with UTEP. If you want to look at Cornish as a contrarian bring back, potentially he's coming off the bench now, but still playing kind of starters minutes, taking a lot of shots. I am very bullish on what Notre Dame can do in this spot being paced up, especially Tay Davis and Keba Njai here. Tay Davis, 7,500, massive foul game last time out against Syracuse, but in this spot here, he should be able to challenge for a double-double. He is the main guy there with Marcus Burton out. So Tay Davis here at 7,500. I do like that, and you'll probably see him in the core a little bit later. Not too interested in chasing the Shrewsbury game from last time. He does take a ton of shots, but he doesn't do much else. And when you start to get over the 7,000 price tag, I'm not too interested. I'm much more interested in saving $1,100 and going after a lone Matalaco, who I know, look, he absolutely blasted Rutgers when Burton was down in that MTE. More of a contrarian tournament play. Don't mind him as a stacking partner with Tay Davis either. Do I expect 6, 7, and no, absolutely. I don't know if that's his ceiling, but 4.5, 5X, I could absolutely see it. Same thing with Keba at 5,200. Where I'm not playing Tay Davis, I'm playing Keba. This is a Dartmouth team that just gives up the rebounds, going to give up easy buckets near the rim. So Keba at 5,200, I think he is a nice pivot from Tay Davis. Saves you about $2,300. And then I'm going to get myself in a lot of trouble here with JR, and I hate saying his last name, Knesny. He is 3,800. Notre Dame tried to force feed Logan Imes minutes, given about 30 minutes for the first couple of games, and they decided they needed to go with Konechny, who we saw last year, able to knock down a lot of open threes. Took 12 shots in the last game, played nearly 30 minutes. So at 3,800 in this type of game environment, I absolutely make it interest in Konechny. But the problem is he can absolutely have a 4 game, and it wouldn't shock me if he shot one for 6 and played 12 minutes and just doesn't get it done for you. So I am bullish on Konechny, where I'm not playing Roos, and in some lines I'm going to have both of these guys in there to try and get up to some of the high dollar guys for sure. So definitely like this Notre Dame side. It's very soft on pricing. I think they have a chance to go over the 79 total that's implied for them. And Boston College, Dartmouth beat Boston College, but gave up like 80 plus points to them here. And I think this is a spot where you can get to 2 to 3 Notre Dame guys for sure, and actually at a lower ownership, which you always like. So, cool. That'll be the first 3 games. We're flying through this thing as we got about 16 minutes left here. We got Mama Rock's Money Mike, our boy pushing the buttons here, Eric Romoff, El Capitan, seeing plenty of bread chuck. Yeah, it's been a pretty good year. Peanut Butter Bossy saying, what's up? What's up, Peanut Butter? Feeling good about Kentucky. And Mama Rock shouting out Cam and Eric. So we see you out there on YouTube. Make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Trying to bring you guys more live before locks as football season starts to wind down. We're doing shows obviously on 2 to 3 times. We're trying to do that, bring you guys some content here. So we'll slide over to an interesting game. Fairleigh Dickinson plus 26 at Villanova. Oh boy, another spot where the high major is getting mega pace up. FDU 37th in tempo. They're 358th in defensive efficiency out of 364 teams. So that's why Villanova has a 90-point implied total, but FDU has one of the most interesting mid-tier plays. And I don't know, I'm a little nervous about this, but I can see why a lot of us are going to play this guy, Terrence Brown, because he has a 31% usage rate, a 34% shot rate, and then he chips in 20% combined rebounding and a 15% assist rate. So just does it all for them. Plays 30 minutes. I mean, on the slate where Creighton was on there, he was still out there. He almost chased me down. I think that was one of the GPPs that I won. He's coming off a 50 fantasy point game. So really good player, averaging over 20 points per game. Going to be probably mega popular. He's kind of one of those ones though, where I'm probably just going to be 50%, because if Villanova somehow stops him from having these massive outputs, then you're going to be way ahead of the field, obviously. So guys, that has a lot of stock upside too. So it's kind of scary to fade him. But we've seen it before where it's like this guy's so underpriced that everyone plays him, and then you save some lineups where you don't play him, and then all of a sudden a lot of the field is dead. So Terrence Brown, definitely an interesting play. Villanova here with that implied 90, although it gets kind of messy after the top 2 dogs. I mean, Eric Dixon, he's at 9,500 and probably the best, I would say, floor option of all the spend ups here. I mean, he's just absolutely dominant. We'll challenge for a double-double in this spot. The problem is, is this game going to get away from Villanova? Could Fairleigh Dickinson keep it close? I don't know, because they can't stop anybody. So I'm a little nervous about playing Dixon in tournaments. I actually like Wooga Poplar a lot more here at 6,300. Look, it's not comfortable, but Wooga's the second option on this team. He's taking a ton of shots, taking a ton of threes. He's a guy that can get some rebounds. At 6,300, if he gets you a 30 before the under 8 timeout in the second half, then you feel good about that. The problem is if Dixon's at 32 fantasy points at the under 8 and they don't come back in, you have a much bigger problem on your hands. So really just sticking to these 2 guys here. And then looks like we got Scott here as a BYU fan. Hall is a much better play than Nell. So okay, Scott, trying to talk me into some BYU. We'll talk about them here in just a second. Am I crazy for betting NJIT plus 2.5 against Delaware State? No, you are not. But that game is not on our DFS slate, and we've got 12 minutes to go. But Mark's Reviews, appreciate the comment there. Hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't. We'll move on to the next game on the DFS slate here. Eastern Kentucky plus 18 at Pitt. 150 implied total. Eastern Kentucky implied for 66 points. man, like it's kind of the same story with all these mid majors here. Low total. It's got some contrarian spin ups because all the usage and shots they go through Kimball and Blanton. I think if you were to run one back from this side, like you'd have to look at Devontae Blanton. He kind of just does everything along with taking a bunch of shots. So if you feel like you want to find the one game that stays close with all these blowouts, you should probably play one of the studs. So I would probably prefer playing Blanton over Kimball. But for the most part, I'm at 66 implied, and the pricing on these guys, it doesn't feel great here. So, man, Pitt here at 84, the pricing on them is annoying for their two studs. Jalen Lowe's 9,200. If you play low at 9,200, Leggett's going to go off for 45. If you play Leggett at 9,100, Lowe's going to go off for 40, 45. So coin flip, if you want to play one of the Pitt guys, I will not be playing both of them together. Obviously, 18-3, that's way too expensive. So I think for me, probably Lowe just with the assist upside. And both of these guys play heavy minutes. I mean, you're really just flipping a coin at this point on which guy's going to have that game. But you worry about the blowout too. On this side, much more interested because EKU is getting absolutely crushed inside and on the glass with the forwards from Pitt. It gets a little annoying sometimes because Coach Capel, friend of the show, actually will use different guys like Papa Conte randomly at Ohio State. But Cam Corrin, he's 6,400, more of a guy that gets down low and does a little bit of the dirty work. 6,400 seems like it's okay. All these guys are tournament plays. Zach Austin, 5,800, like okay. I probably will go back to the wall and Guillermo Diaz-Graham. He's 5,300. Completely torched us at that Ohio State game a few weeks ago, but played 31 minutes last time out. He does have double ability. I mean, you look at the last game, he had nearly 10 boards, shot a bunch of threes, only made one of them. So if a few more of those go down, he does have 28 to 30 fantasy point upside at an 84 implied total for Pitt. I definitely don't mind that at all here. So I'll double check in the comments here. Hall will fill in for Eager's role a lot more. Okay. Appreciate that info, Scott. Pope could use, let's see, Peanut Butter jumping in. Pope could use Hall right now, but I'm glad I found it. I mean, you're living the dream right now, my friend. You're living the dream there as a Kentucky fan right now. So we will slide over to talk about the aforementioned Kentucky Wildcats. You got Colgate plus 28 over here at Kentucky, 152 implied total. Colgate plays a lot of dudes, 62 implied total. Yuck, but they're cheap. Kentucky is strong defense, as a lot of places like Torvik and Ken Palm weren't as high defensively, but I'm like, you got a bunch of defensive stoppers. So Colgate 62 implied, but the most expensive guy that I'm willing to get to is only 4,800. I mean, Parker Jones, he's okay. Going to play probably the safest amount of minutes here. Nicholas Louis Jacques feels like he's been 3K for the last 3 years. The guy that I am probably going to plant a flag on and probably going to get toasted on here is Sam Wright. He's the stone minimum. He's 3K. It's going to be tough. He only played 14 minutes, but he had foul trouble. Usually plays mid-20s minutes at 3K, mid-20s minutes. I'm not asking for much. I'm asking for 12, 13, 14 fantasy points to get up to some of the studs. Sam Wright here. Probably going to see his name later when we do the core four. It feels like an ugly click, but I mean, when you look at it, he's basically paying this off outside of the last game here. So going to have to go to this well here because there's not a ton of value that we feel great about under the 5K range. Kentucky here implied for 90 points here. So news that we have to pay attention to, Lamont Butler, he's 6,900. He is questionable, and that is huge because Kurt Kriisa hurt his foot and is going to be out for a while. So we have to talk about who's running the point for Kentucky. Well, if Butler is in, I'm probably going to play him, even though it feels disgusting at 6,900. We've seen Kentucky run a ton of dudes out whenever they blow teams out. So Lamont Butler, one of the keys to the slate here at 6,900. Stock upside will definitely be there. He could easily put up 35 fantasy points against these guys if he's in. If he is out, we'll see if Travis Perry gets the run. I mean, he might start, but I don't know that I'm going to play him. I don't even know that he would start, right? Like I would assume that they just go with Jackson Robinson, Kobe Bryant, take it away, and then use Amari Williams as that hub 5 like they typically do. So Amari down here at 7,700. I say down here because, I mean, usually, when he's on slates, Drexel is at the 9K range, but obviously living in the 7K range for Kentucky and has 35 fantasy point upside. The problem is the blowout. That's always at risk. So a GPP play only. Same thing with the Tega Owe. I think my favorite guy is probably Jackson Robinson at 6,200. Probably going to take a bunch of threes. He's going to have to hit them because he's a little more shot dependent than some of these other guys that can kind of get there in different ways. With the spacing in the NBA, Jackson Robinson's going to be a pro, and Peanut Butter's calling out 117 to 53 win. He's saying that Butler's going to be very limited. So we'll have to see the starting lineup when it comes out. That could be a key to opening up some value maybe later on in the slate, as this one doesn't lock until 7 Central Time, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. Kobe Bryant at 5,400 played a ton of minutes against Gonzaga. You absolutely love to see that because I think his role stands to increase the most if Lamont Butler is out. And that is a guy that I'll be having some shares of because he takes a ton of threes. He makes a bunch of threes. With the peripherals, right? You don't need that many at 5,400. Feels a little more comfortable to click the name, especially with the condensed rotation, especially if Kriisa and Butler are both out. So we'll have to pay attention to what's going to happen here with Lamont Butler. He is one of the keys to the slate that we do not know. All right. I got a couple of games left. Just wanted to let you guys know, hit those like and subscribe buttons. We're trying to bring you guys content year-round. If you haven't checked it out, we do coaching interviews. We interviewed Mark Pope a few years ago. So just check all those out. Steve Alford, bunch of coaches. Kim English got a got a text message from a guy entering a portal. That was a lot of fun. Coach DeVries when he was with Drake. So check all those out. We're doing off-season content, top 500 transfer portal board. So not just DFS stuff, but when the season's here, we're doing a ton of DFS stuff. So appreciate you guys checking us out. Hit those like and subscribe buttons. Got about 4 minutes. We'll squeeze these in here. Fresno State plus 22 at BYU, 154 implied total. Fresno plays fast. Second in tempo. When you look at the Fresno side, I'm not that interested. Like if you want to look at Collins or Robinson, they're only implied for 66 points. Feels a little more comfortable because we're talking about guys for UTEP that are 8K. You're talking about 8,200 Timberlake. If I want to play a Collins at 7,300, maybe. Much more interested on this BYU side, even though it feels kind of icky. 88 implied total here. Kebakeda, he is 6,100, the Utah transfer. I love what I've seen from him. His minutes never really go past 21 to 22. So he's got to get it done in a limited amount of time. Good double-double will get you some blocks, though. So he could definitely pay that off. Man, you got all these options now, especially with Dimon out. I mean, Kenny Catchings is there. Dallin Hall, we do have to talk about him. 5,300, right? Like that seems like a really, really nice price to pay for a Dallin Hall, who I would assume sees 28 to 30 minutes here. Last year, he was kind of always around this price point. Could serve up a 25 to 35 fantasy point type game last year. I haven't seen it as much this year because Dimon has the ball in his hands so much. So I think some other guys that are interesting are Dawson Baker at 4,900. I think he's kind of an interesting play for 400 less, especially if Hall's going to be chalk. Baker takes a ton of shots. He was the UC Irvine transfer from a few years ago. And then for Fusuni Traore, I mean, he's 6,100. He's not playing very many minutes, but talk about a guy that's GPP upside. I mean, he could literally put up 30 fantasy points in 17 minutes, and it wouldn't shock me. So BYU just all over the place right here. Jason B jumping in. What's up, Jason B? Long time, man. Timberlake may be out. Yeah, so Kai Robinson, kind of interesting as a value play. We got about 3 or 4 value plays where it's like, 3,000, 3,500. Like, can these guys get enough? Playmaker 23, workbench, gang. What's up? It's the bread gang here. I got a couple of minutes, guys, so we'll jump into this last game. Cal Baptist, 60 implied totals, plus 16 at San Diego State, 136 implied totals. So in an ugly hammer game, but Cal Baptist doesn't play any defense. They haven't played anybody either. 320th in the schedule on KenPom right now. So this is probably going to be a slap in the face here with San Diego State. Dom Daniels, 8K, contrarian, bring back. I don't know why you'd want to bring back on 136 implied total against San Diego State defense, but for tournaments, if you want to, go ahead. San Diego State, Miles Bird is okay at 6,800. Nick Boyd, okay at 6,600. BJ Davis, okay at 5,800. I think I'm more interested in their cheaper pieces here. Jared Coleman Jones at 5,000. Pharaoh Compton at 4,600. And then Magoon Guath at 4,500. So JCJ probably the safest of all these guys. He's not going to 25, 28 minutes, right, at 5K. Could have a nice game here. Pharaoh Compton at 4,600. I think he's kind of sneaky. I think a lot of people might try to go to Magoon Guath, who could easily get like 8 points, 10 boards, and block 4 shots. But Pharaoh Compton here, man, when he plays 20 minutes, like he's shown the ability to produce. So at 4,600, absolutely don't mind Pharaoh Compton. Magoon Guath, like I said, at 4,500 is $100 cheaper, and most people are probably going to go to him. He's live to give you 11 fantasy points. He's also live to give you a 25-30. So that's just kind of what we're looking at here with San Diego State. A lot of options for these guys. 76 implied total. Not the highest. We got teams on here with 88, 90 implied totals, and blowouts. This one probably another. Yeah, I mean McGuath here. Magoon Guath, 45 fantasy points 2 games ago. So yeah, he can absolutely do it. Let's jump into a core before we run out of here real quick. And Belly Ball saying thanks for the stream. Appreciate it, Belly Ball. We usually don't go this fast, but we got some time constraints to run it up against. So we'll go to a core here. And really it's any of those value pieces that we just talked about. Like, if we're talking super cheap value pieces, we're talking, Sam Wright from Colgate. He is, he's going to be at that 3K spot. So that's who we're deciding to go with here. You could also use, J.R. Knesny, Connie Roos is at 4K. Kai Robinson's 3,500. Could use any of those guys because he's the Stone Min, going to play mid 20s minutes. Sam Wright here, a core type play at 3K. Terrence Brown, just the usage and just everything that he does for FDU. At 6,700, he's just still too cheap. Even though I think he's very interesting as a fade option because I think he's going to come in very, very popular. Yeah, I do have a smiley face on my hand. I'm a teacher, and one of the kids wrote on my hand here. Tay Davis at 7,500. One of these Notre Dame forwards is going to absolutely smash. I just like Tay Davis in a bounce back. I don't think he's going to be as popular. And then Kadari Richmond, or really any of the St. John studs. Kadari Richmond, 7,700. So, when you plug those 4 guys in right there, it's going to leave you about 6.3 left. You can play one of those other value plays or take one of the guys in the low 4Ks, like one of those San Diego State guys. You can play a Dallin Hall. A lot of options, a lot of ways to go here. So that'll do it, guys. Before we get out of here, just make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button. We'll probably be here for the Saturday main slate, which is lining up to be a pretty big one. So looking forward to that. But other than that, good luck to you guys out there and gals out there in the one and done streets. And let's see some green screens tonight. Peace.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.